Hello there, welcome back to The Groomsman. Thanks for joining us. I'll be your host, Jonathan, and today I'm using Faskally by Stirling. This is a Tom Ford Gray Vetiver dupe, which is a really nice fragrance, one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Obviously very Vetiver forward. Got a lot of nice woody scents in the base, some cedar I think, a little bit of amber in the base too, and then there's some really bright fresh notes on the top, grapefruit, orange blossom. I am missing another one up there in the front, but it's got a very, actually a really nice vetiver scent. It's very like a vetiver and woody kind of scent, but those top sweet notes are not very forward. They're just kind of like background players that kind of elevate the rest of the fragrances. It's really nice. Kind of a smoky vetiver. If that makes sense. It's not a smoky scent, like there's no like gun smoke or anything added to it. But the vetiver, to me, kind of feels like a smoky scent. And about that grassy, rooty vetiver scent. Very earthy. Maybe that's a better word instead of smoky. Got it whipped up here with my Voight and Cop Brush, made in Italy. With a VCO2 knot, their Fanchurian or Manchurian knot, fan tip. I will say, if you're wondering too about the fragrance as far as how it compares to Tom Ford, perfect, dang near identical. The only thing I can smell different between the two is the those top kind of fruity notes, like the orange blossom and the grapefruit. Those are a little bit more obvious in the Faskally than it is in the Gray Vetiver. I'm using the Henson Aggressive, the new style with the notch corners. I've not used this one before, it's pretty awesome. It's just the newer Henson. They didn't change the blade geometry or anything, they just did they changed the lather channel so it's easier to rinse out, and they notched those corners, which would catch hair and make it harder to rinse out. It's a little bit closer to the edge of the blade, so it's easier for line nuts, but I wish it was a little bit more, like I wish the notch was a little bit more pronounced, but whatever. And I'm using one of my favorite blades, a Schick double edge from Germany. Bought those off the Razor Club, which is the only person I know of that sells them with shipping to the States. Obviously the Razor Club is in the States. They're a blade, although they're made in Germany, they're made for the South African market. And I've found a couple websites over there that obviously have them on their storefront, but none of them offer shipping to the US. So. One of the more expensive blade options. I don't know why. They're even expensive down in South Africa, so it's not like shipping to the US or there wasn't like a huge markup from the Razor company or anything. It was just, they're expensive over there too. I think it's kind of like the Schick 7 o'clock blacks. They're also around the same range. I know the Schick blacks on their eBay listing refers to them as a premium blade, but then it doesn't define what a premium blade is or how it differs from the other ones. I don't know if it's the coating is different, or I don't know, something about the process when they're creating the blades. Or maybe nothing, it's all marketing gimmick, I don't know. But I like these Schick blades. I really like this Henson. I've used it before on channel. I've compared it to the old model Henson. If you haven't watched those videos, check them out on my playlist in the channel. Jonathan's channel, or Jonathan's playlist, obviously. But I think this razor is marvelously designed. Their videos, if you've never checked out their website, I highly recommend checking out their website, where they talk about the production and how they got the angle, and they went with this unique design to like force the blade angle and everything, and the error ratio that they accept, which is minuscule, so they can make sure they get a perfect blade angle every time, and it's pretty neat. They got some really cool demo videos on there too, of like trying to explain the difference between like a blade and when it's held this way and versus not. And they use like a cartridge razor or even a regular double edge, like a DE89, and they run it along the edge of a cardboard, and you can see the blade edge catch on the cardboard and then flex and then bounce back and then hit the cardboard again and flex, which is kind of like blade shatter, right? And then it shows the same thing with the Henson doing it with the clamping that the blade has, and it doesn't do that shattering at all. Pretty cool. I'd recommend this razor to anybody. I think it's a great beginner razor. I gave a Henson medium to my brother actually to get him started on wet shaving. He's only got a few shaves under his belt, so trying to figure it out. But he said he likes it, so there's that. They got the mild and medium on their website. They make an aggressive model, which obviously is this one, but they don't sell it on their site, or at least they didn't last time I checked. They were only doing the aggressive model on like wet shaving websites like TRC, or I think Razor Emporium had it as well. If you go to Razor Emporium, you can use the Grooms 10 discount code, GROOMS 10, get 10% off. I don't get any kickback from that. There's plenty of ways to get a 10% discount code. But anyways, I'm pretty sure they sell it to you. They don't market it to I had a discussion about this once with somebody. I don't think they got it, but Henson, their main marketing, their main drive to bring in revenue is not towards the wet shaving enthusiast that has 473 shave soaps and 18 to 200 razors and 47 brushes and stuff, right? That's not the person that they're marketing their razor to. There's only so much income in that, because this is a pretty small niche market of those people that are enthusiasts. And once they got one, they're probably not going to buy another one unless they keep doing that like remake thing or adding changes or whatever. And that's not their business model. Their business model is converting people from cartridge razors to the Henson. So they're bringing people into that market. And I think in their market research, they found that the Henson, the aggressive, doesn't play well for that segment of the market that they're trying to reach the most. But there was enough, I don't want to say outcry, there was enough response and enough desire from the wet shaving enthusiasts for the aggressive version that they had in titanium, but in a cheaper option. They did a test run or a small batch of the aluminum ones in silver, which I got when it was the old style, and that sold out pretty quickly, and a lot of people were like, oh, I missed out on it, and they kept talking to Henson, and so they're like, fine, you win. So then they started producing them and selling them on TRC and Razor Emporium as a compromise, because it is a revenue stream, but I don't think it'll compete or really change a whole lot of it's not going to take over as their primary revenue stream from their current marketing strategy, which is, converting people over from cartridges. There's a lot more people using cartridges than there are people currently using DEs already. And I think it's a pretty valid, that makes sense to me from a money angle. I know some people got really angry and up in arms and were kind of talking bad about the company when this new model came out with the updated changes. They said very clearly what the changes were, but then some people were like, oh, they didn't list the blade angle and the blade gap and the geometry and and they wanted all this technical data provided to them. If they didn't get that technical data, then the company was slighting them personally. It was very weird to see the reaction of some of these shavers, some of these YouTubers, getting really up in arms and then like literally said Henson botched this release. It was the worst release ever. No data was provided to anybody. No advanced razors were sent out to review. And I tried to explain to him, like, Henson doesn't care about YouTubers. As like, they don't care about the wet shaving enthusiasts. That's not their market. They didn't slight you. They're just not marketing to you. They didn't give tech data because that's not the kind of information that the user that they're targeting wants or needs, and it just confuses them. It confuses a lot of people in the wet shaving community that have that, you know, people get tied up a little bit in blade angles and they're like, oh, it's a 0.68, but when I've used like 4 different razors with a 0.68 blade gap and they all feel different. I think that technical data can really confuse people. Doesn't always. But I mean, I don't know why they got upset. They clearly said the changes were only cosmetic. It updated the lather channel and it notched out those corners. And that was pretty much the only changes. So they didn't do anything in design. It's still the same Henson razor. We just made some like little quality of life changes to help with rinsing. And I like the corners being notched because it makes it a little bit easier for me to shave around facial hair and stuff. But I think the main reason for the notching was to help the rinsing out sideways, because sometimes I had that bar right here and it would get stuck like hair and lather and stuff. I think some people get spoiled a little bit by companies like maybe Blackland, or, you know, some of these razor companies, these small artisan companies that are like very specifically targeting this niche market about wet shaving enthusiasts, and they're providing all that tech data because a lot of those guys want that, so they expect everyone to provide it. But not everyone is targeting you. Even Razor Emporium to an extent, I mean, they're targeting larger companies, larger markets and stuff like that. They're trying to, there's only, you know, a small market share for niche wet shavers, and the bigger market share is converting people out of cartridge razors, and it makes sense to target that. I don't know why it's a big deal. I think I was just like shocked by that response from a lot of people. Just like, I couldn't understand why people were so up in arms and angry at a company and angry at the release, and was like, oh, it's a botched release. I don't know what these individuals want from a business. Like, they want this personal like email outlining everything that they're going to do for a launch for a new design on the, which they thought was, you know, I always say there was not a big deal. They made some, you know, took reviews and stuff about the lather and the rinsing not being that great, and they fixed it. It was like not that big a deal to them. They weren't even marketing as that. They weren't even marketing like a version 2 or anything. They said, hey, we took your feedback. We made some changes. We listen here at Henson. And then these people took it and ran with it and made it into this like giant controversy. It was really weird. I'm probably going to say it was really weird 4 or 5 more times, because it was really weird. I mean, you get that anywhere, right? I guess. There's the whole IMCDB thing recently. Not recently, it's been ongoing for months. It's not the first time he's gone on a rant, but you know, he went on a rant about pricing, and some companies increase their prices because of, you know, everybody's increased their prices. Inflation is freaking nuts. But he got really up in arms about how it was unfair and they shouldn't have increased their prices. They should have just taken that out of their bottom line and their profits instead of passing that on to the customer. Seems like a pretty unreasonable stance for me. I mean, there's only so much of your profit you can dig into before you stop being profitable. But I don't know the margin of these companies. It wasn't that big of a deal to me that a company raised a price by $1. I mean, there were some companies that raised their price by like 38%. That's a big bump. Well, like PAA raising their sets by $1 or $2. Like, That's not really anything. He got all up in arms about it, and then he stepped off the channel. I don't think it was actually because of that. He had other stuff going on. But then he came back after like months to have the exact same rant. And then say, I'm not going to make videos again. And to give the Patreon guys that have been paying him for the last 3 months for not making content and only recycling old videos, he gave them 1 month of their Patreon accounts back. Which, by the way, not so. I guess everyone has the right to do whatever they want with their money, but I knew that he had a Patreon account because I'd seen it. I watched a couple of his videos and stuff, but he has some links to that on there. I do not donate to a Patreon account. I have enough bills to support someone else's wet shaving. But that, I remember being shocked when I watched that video and he was like, oh yeah, I've been collecting that money every month because it's like a monthly thing that people donate to. And the only content he had released was like 1 leaf video and like 3 or 4 recycled videos that he had put out like 4 or 5 years ago that he just reposted. And in the meantime, these people are continuing to give him money. I don't know. He gave the last month away, but it was like 3 months where he wasn't posting anything before he did that. And he said some people were okay continuing to donate to him, even though he wasn't producing content. I mean, again, you can do what you want with your money, but... And I have no doubt, I don't believe that he's lying about that, but there probably were 1 or 2 guys that said that. I don't know if they were speaking for everyone. I don't know how many people were actually on that and donating to him. I just remember it seemed kind of weird. But then, I don't know. That whole thing, I never got Twitch either. I never got, like, paying people to play video games. I never really got that concept. Like, I mean, I understand it. I just never got the desire to do it. I generally don't like watching people play games. I'd rather do it myself. I don't know, maybe it's part of that whole, it's like OnlyFans. Just this whole voyeuristic society going on. Do what you want. Spend your money how you want it. I don't want to say it's impossible to cut yourself with this razor because it's definitely not impossible. You could definitely overshave and get a razor burn just like any razor, but man, it's so smooth and effortless. Like, you don't have to try and find an angle, it's just there. Man, that was a great shave. All right, I'm gonna do a quick cold water rinse and then I'll be right back with the post shave. All right, I'm back. Thanks for sticking with me. Finishing up with the matching Faskally splash. These are obviously like the small size. These came out as like a Black Friday release last year, I guess. I didn't know about it then. I found out later this year when I decided I really liked Tom Ford Grey Vetiver. And then they had a sale on their website where they're getting rid of some old stock of stuff that they had, you know, in storage. And this is one of them. I will say the soap smells exactly like the Grey Vetiver EDP to me. The splash does not. I think it's the alcohol within the splash. I think it changes like the DNA of the scent profile a little bit. I think the dry down is similar, but it's different. It's a little bit more dry. The Vetiver scent and the woody based notes are a little bit more dry instead of more like the top notes are kind of gone. Like that orange blossom and that grapefruit, those kind of fruity, bright, fresh scents that were there in the soap and in the EDP, they kind of elevate the rest of the fragrance. Those are kind of missing in the aftershave splash for whatever reason. I don't know if it's just the alcohol overwhelms them. It's weird how that works sometimes. It's not bad, it's just, for whatever reason, different. I've seen that recently. Maybe I've just been noticing it more recently, where I get a soap and a splash and the two don't smell the same. They smell different enough to where it kind of bothers me. This one doesn't smell different enough to bother me, but there have been a couple where I'm like, at a PA Hotel Cecil not that long ago on video, and who really, really liked the soap, and then I got to the splash and I'm just like, this is not the same scent at all. It was just so drastically different. It kind of threw me off. I ended up trading that set just because it just didn't work for me. It wasn't a matching set for me. There's another one too, Monstroso. I just got that. I traded for that Monstroso recently. That was kind of similar. That scent just didn't work for me. There's another one recently too. I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm like losing it. Oh, it was another PEA, the Albion of the North. It's exclusive to a company up in Canada, online sales store. There's a Faugère, but it's got some maple syrup notes. And the soap is a fantastic Faugère. I love it. Super green, bright, everything I like in a Faugère. And there's like just the smallest hint of kind of like sweetness from the maple. That just kind of like, it works really well with everything. It ties it well together. And then the splash is like incredibly heavy on the maple syrup to the extent that you can't even really smell anything else. And it's just completely, it smells like not the same scent at all. And that kind of threw me off, which is sad. But that's the shave. The Henson, I really, really recommend it. It's an awesome razor. Go check it out. This is the aluminum one, obviously. They make titanium ones too, if that's your boat. Yeah, they're great. Check them out. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Hit me up with the comments if you like the video, if you want to see more, if you have ideas for content, a certain scent or something you'd like me to review, or a razor or a blade, let me know. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.